I'm not talking about myself, but how good of a lineup this is. I have Coach Moffitt come in here and Coach Reed assembling all these guys like Vic and guys like Josh Storms. Like, I'm a younger guy in the field, and these are guys like I looked up to and I tried to emulate, and I looked at as role models as I was coming up as intern, GA, and all those things. So just to be involved with all these guys on the same speaking lineup is like, it's kind of like goofy. It's like almost like, me and Babe Ruth or something like that, that type of deal. So, this is awesome to be here and be involved. What I'm going to talk about is reverse engineering the demands of football, building capacities to teach skills. All right. First, I got to thank Mondo for having me. Coach Reed, thank you again for having me up here. I got to thank my head coach, Tom Herman. I was able to be retained in the coaching change, which is very rare. And I am beyond blessed to work for that man right there. I got to thank my staff because, like Coach said, they have to carry out the vision, and you have to give them what it's supposed to look like that they have to carry out and execute. I got to thank y'all. I appreciate you guys coming out here on a Saturday, spending some time and trying to learn. Thank my wife and kids, always, they're my why, and then thank my players because without them, we don't even have a job. This is what it's all about, is mentoring young men, helping develop performance, helping develop them as young men, and helping them in life. All right, 3 guarantees. I'm going to cuss. I'm going to talk fast, and I guarantee some in here spell wrong. I'm the worst speller in the world. You ask me to do a math, I go on the board and do it. You ask me to spell, anything, and I'm done for. All right, the disclaimer. All right, I'm the creator of nothing, borrow everything. All right, so a lot of the guys in this room, I have taken way more than they know away from what they've done. Like, I have your programs from SMU on my computer. Like Coach Moffitt, I got every single one of your like I said, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, probably from 2002 on. Okay, I've taken so much from so many people, and like what Coach Storm said, it's about taking from other people and adapting it to your environment, making it fit what you do. Okay, and that's a lot of what I do. So these are some of my main influences, and I'm missing a lot. All right, what the goal of presentation is: understand a layered approach to training that centers around preparing for the demands of football. So we're going to get in depth about what that actually means. All right, understanding the locomotion and contact demands of football, because they're 2 different things. All right, understanding the difference between skills and capacities. All right, putting it together in a way that promotes training compatibility. Okay, training compatibility, and then incorporating skill development without turning every session into a practice. All right, because that's not the name of the game, but we want to get as close as possible. All right, what I want to really do is I just want to challenge perspective. Every good presentation I've ever been a part of, or seen, or watched, is really challenged my own internal philosophy, made me question what I was doing. So if you come out of here, you might not agree with 99.9% of what I talk about, but if I challenge you in one way, then I did my job. Okay. All right. I ask this: do we as strength coaches really know our sport and why we train? Like, actually know it to the point where you know the ins and outs to a microscopic level. Okay. Because the needs analysis, and I don't just mean a general needs analysis, a needs analysis of all sport movement, the ground reaction forces involved with those movements, the cost of movement, the metabolic costs, okay, the differences in positions, all those things are critical when we start to put together a program. All right? When we look at football from the 10,000 view, the 10,000 foot view, right? Average game play is 4 to 6 seconds, average play drive is 6 plays. Again, these are our averages from FAU. All right, average drives per game is 12, so you get about 72 plays in a game. Average time between plays is roughly around 25 to 30 seconds. Average rest is 5 minutes. Plus or minus 2 minutes in between the series, okay? And then average duration start to end of games is 3 hours and 45 minutes. Now that's going to change with the new rule change that just went into effect with play clock, okay? So again, this is the 10,000 foot view right here. What we need to do is when we plan, is we need to break it down all the way down to the microscopic view, okay? So what me and my staff did is we saw a graph from Derek Hansen where it broke down ground contact times and movement expression times, just general change of direction, speed, acceleration, all these different things. We said, why can't we apply that to our foundational movements in football? Okay, and let's see where those lie on the time continuum. So what you'll come to find out is, what we did was we filmed everything with Dartfish and iPads, and we went through and we took about 40 to 50 of these reps and averaged out the movement expression times. And what you come to find out is football is played a hell of a lot faster than you think it is. All right? Almost every single thing on that football field from a movement expression time standpoint is under 500 milliseconds. And why is that relevant? All right, well, it's relevant because to sum up maximal force capabilities, you need more than 500 milliseconds. So again, Strength is the foundation, strength's important, okay, but there's a lot more underlying attributes to being successful on the football field or in sports in general that we'll talk about and how we go about it. All right, again, this is from Derek Hansen, so now you can see the different general movements as well, so sprinting, jumping, all these different things. Okay, an average squat takes about 1.85 seconds to complete. Okay, and I know you can be nitpicky and break down the eccentric versus concentric and all that as well, but we're talking about 1.8 seconds. All right, so if you're not getting closer to this as you start training, okay, you're missing the boat on transfer. All right, and at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to increase transfer training. All right, football, I use the zebra metaphor. If you were to look at a pack of zebras, okay, you'd be like, yeah, they're black and white, they look like donkeys or horses or however the hell you want to, say they're described, okay, but they're pretty much all the same, okay, and I think that for a lot of us, when we get into prescribing training, we get caught in that mind frame, that little tunnel vision, like, it is football, football's football. Well, football's not football, because if you were to walk up on each one of these zebras, they have different individual stripes depending upon what zebra they are. Okay, the same can be said for the game. Now, what is similar? Okay, there's five main demands from football. Okay, 5. You got 4 locomotion demands, okay, and then you got 1 contact demand. All right, now the volume that occurs for each position is different. Okay, but these are the 5 demands, and we'll get more into it. You accelerate, you decelerate, you run at top speed, and yes, big guys run at top speed in the game. Okay, you change direction and you hit people. Okay, so 4 locomotion, 1 contact, 5 main demands. All right, like I said, the game of football is very different based on what position you play. Okay, so this is game data, but it is very similar to what our practice data is. And what you can see is, even in positions where you think they're similar, they're different. Okay, so our guards, all right, get, where's my contact load at? I'm going blind, huh? All right, our guards, okay, get roughly 6,000 more or 600 more yards than our tackles in the game. Why? We have G scheme. We're pulling our guards all the time. All the time. Okay? You look at our slot receivers versus our outside receivers. Slot receivers almost getting 1,000 more yards in the game. Okay? Having way more change of directions and high intensity decels. So when you go to program, if you're not looking at every single aspect of what you're getting them ready to do, and like what Coach Storm said and Coach Moffitt said, is our job is to get them ready for practice, to handle the demands of the game, right? The condition side of it, okay, is to get them ready for the conditions that they're going to play in, all right? So you have to break this down, you have to look at it, and you have to understand every single aspect of that. And now it's different from team to team, okay? Last year was different than this year is going to be. All right, different style of coach, different style of practice, all these different things. All right, so understanding this is critical, because when we go and we look, we're trying to look and we're trying to increase performance markers, right? Like, so again, there's 2 facets of training, and I'll get to my philosophy, but we want to increase performance. Well, where does that show up? With the GPS. The performance markers for locomotion and contact are going to show up in maximum velocity, average max acceleration, and max decelerations. All right, if I'm faster and if I can stop faster, all right, my performance theoretically should be better, especially if I'm gaining weight and doing the things necessary. All right, what about from a capacity standpoint for locomotion and contact? So again, that's where your average distance, your high-speed distance, the number of accelerations, the number of deaccelerations, all these things are critical, because this is what we need to get them to not only be able to do, but have reserves higher than this, so that this is not that stressful when it happens and occurs. All right, talking about ground reaction forces of different movements. What's the cost of movement? Okay, because I could put all those numbers up in front of you and be like, okay, you have decels, they have way less decels than accelerations. All right, they only had 120 yards of high speed. Well, it's all relative, right? It's all relative. All these things have different costs of movement. So when you break down what is the cost of movement per event, and you look at deaccelerations, which is there's a strong body of research pushing now towards the importance of training it as a skill and building up its underpinning abilities, okay? And what you come to find out is deaccelerations, A, it happens under 300 milliseconds, which is extremely fast, okay? Extremely fast, all right? And then B, it's 6 times body weight on average. It is the highest ground reaction forces that you'll have at any locomotion movement, okay? So if you're not training it, if you're not training the underlying abilities of it, you're missing out. That's why there's a lot of non-contact ACLs. That's why there is a bunch of ankle sprains and all those things. That's how this has occurred, right? There was a problem in my program. We had a ton of high ankle sprains. I could not figure it out. I'm like, why? And I went back and I'm watching tape on it. It kept occurring in a deacceleration state. We just couldn't get our foot back under us. We're rolling our ankles, all those different things. Start training it, they disappeared. Okay, not saying that was a complete vaccine, but they start disappearing. So again, there's a problem, you got to solve it. Right? Acceleration is going to be that green line. It's only 2.5 times body weight. Okay, that red line is deacceleration. Okay, so you can see how much faster and impactful it is. All right, ground reaction forces a change direction. So this is a high speed cut, a 45-degree cut with minimal speed loss. Okay, you're looking up at 3 times body weight, happening in under 100 milliseconds. Okay, and then high speed running, that's from Ken Clark's research, and that's 4 times body weight. We all know that we're trying to get under 100 milliseconds for those ground contacts. Why is this important? Because no matter what game you play or what practice you're at, this occurs. Okay, and depending upon what position you played, all right, it occurs a lot. Some more than most. Okay, some more than most, and we'll get into why. Then what about the collision demand? So they came to find out through research that collisions, okay, have a different stressor to the muscle than locomotion movements. Okay? So you can't just be like, yeah, if we were strong, we run a lot, we're in shape, all those different things, we can handle everything. We'll be all right. We'll be able to go into practice, we'll be able to, strap that chin strap up, set my jaw, and I'll be able to run through a dude. Okay? But then, why is it every first practice, the first time, even in helmets, and coach, you could attest this, man, my shoulders are sore, my neck's sore. Like, damn, like I feel slower today. What's the problem with that? Like, what's the issue? Because it is a completely different stressor as soon as you put your hands on another human being. Okay, completely different stress. Something that I think that we take for granted in the training process. Now, the NCAA has to make it, you got to move around some red tape, but we're going to show you ways on how you can incorporate collision prep into your training, because I think it's a huge part of preparing them for practice. Okay, we went through spring ball, and this is not the brag. We had 0 concussions, 0 soft tissue injuries, 0 non-contact injuries. It's because we did 8 weeks of collision prep drills. Okay, they were technically hitting with no pads, learning leverage, learning how to drive their feet, learning how to fit, all these different things. Okay, long before we said put a helmet on, shoulder pads on, now run into them. All right.
Right. Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you took them through those drills.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get to it, Coach. So, Coach, this is a little familiar, right? You were on the other sideline laughing your ass off, probably. I'm over here praying for the guy, making sure he's not dead. All right? But why is collision? Again, why do we need to get bigger, stronger, faster? Like, what's the real reason? Everybody says that all the time. Okay, but what is the real reason? It is a game of momentum. It is a game of momentum. The guy that's bigger, the guy moving at the faster speed, wins at collision. All right, they did sports science on this, right? What was before that running? 21, and my guy was running 6. You know, the funny story, he walked off, he's a former 5-star from Texas. He walked over to the sideline after that play, sat his next to me, he goes, I'm a 5-star, that wasn't supposed to happen. I said, big dog, that shit just happened. I said, that just happened. Okay, but again, the game is getting bigger, the game is getting faster.